You know, Ed Burns, he's one of those rare talents because he can do it all. He writes, he directs, he acts, he probably runs craft services, does some makeup in his sets. He does it all. And it's actually his new film, Fitzgerald Family Christmas. It debuted at TIFF last year, but he's in Park City this year judging the films.
In 1995, Edward Burns came to Sundance and conquered with his film, The Brothers McMullen. It's a film that he wrote, directed, and starred in. Now, to do all three things well in a film is really rare, and it's something he never aspired to when he first set out to be a filmmaker. Back then, he went to college to learn how to direct.
The very first directing class I took there, the professor asked all of us, how many of you students want to be directors? Everybody raised their hands. He said, how many of you have any acting experience? Nobody raised their hand. And then he said, well, how do you expect to know how to work with actors if you've never spent a day in their shoes? So what we're going to do at the start of every class, I'll pick 4 kids. One is the writer, one's the director, the other 2 are the actors. I'll see you back next class. You have to put on a 5-minute play in front of the class. First time I got picked was as an actor, and performing in front of my classmates that first time, I got the acting bug. Then when it was time to make that first black and white silent movie in film school, for 2 reasons. One, just being too intimidated by the kids in the theater department and not knowing how to work with actors. I just thought, all right, well, I kind of enjoyed it. I'll put myself and my buddies in it. And then over the course of, making movies and casting myself, when I finally sat down for Brothers McMullen, I thought, well, I knew I wanted to make an ensemble for the simple reason of having made student films where you're not paying actors. I knew that there was no guarantee that anyone would show up. So I thought, all right, well, I know I'll show up. So at least I'll get a short film out of this if the rest of the thing falls apart. And then that was it. I mean, part of that decision also, that decision to add acting into the equation was the fact that I was a Woody Allen fanatic. So I thought, all right, well, Woody's a writer, director, actor, and kind of seems to play a version of himself and makes these small dialogue-driven films. I kind of wanted to replicate some version of that.
At the Toronto Film Festival last year, Burns showcased his latest film, The Fitzgerald Family Christmas. It featured many of the same cast members from his first film 17 years earlier.
A lot of filmmakers like to mix it up. They like to mix it up film to film as far as crew, genre. For whatever reason, I'm sort of on the opposite end of that spectrum. I like the small talky films. I'm comfortable staying in that place, and there is something about the continuity of sort of the world that I keep writing about, and the cast and crew that I work with.
And the actors who share his film world have something in common.
When my films work, I think they feel real. They feel authentic. You feel like, okay, I am sitting across the room from some real folks having a real conversation. So I think that's the quality that I look for most in actors is, I'm not a big fan of acting acrobatics. I look for folks who are sort of grounded. Their acting comes from a very real place. And the other thing is, speaking of Woody Allen, no one balances the tone between sort of the comedic and the dramatic better than he does. And not just scene to scene, but within scenes. And that's something that I've always tried to do because I find, it most honestly reflects real life. That's how we all kind of converse with one another. So that's one of the things that I try and find with my actors. They have to be able to be funny as well as be able to handle the heavier lifting.
And that's our program. Thanks so much for watching. The 2013 edition of the Sundance Film Festival was absolutely amazing. My first time here, but from the films to the directors to the actors, it was cool. To random bands playing in the middle of the street. Thanks so much for watching. Later.